Show me the door. You can get everything done.
Okay. Hi guys, I'm Emilie Schweikert. I'm double majoring in H&FE and Animal and Poultry Science. And today for my demonstration presentation, I'm going to be showing you how to make no-bake homemade dog treats. Now, you may be wondering, well, why should I make dog treats when I can just go to the store and buy them already made? And I'm sure that all of you as agriculture and life science majors know that your food does not just come from the grocery store. It has to be grown, raised, processed, sometimes artificially flavored, and so many additives incorporated in, packaged, shipped, and then it somehow ends up on the grocery store where you can go with your cart and go pick it up and put it in your basket and go through the line, and then you have it. But I'm sure maybe you guys also, maybe hopefully are aware that through all that processing, a lot of different additives, fillers, artificial flavors, artificial colors are added to the foods to make them taste better, look better, just for consumer preferences and whatnot. And that also applies to dog food. Really more to dog food than human food, just because of dog food, and people don't really care as much as, if they don't care what they're eating, they're not going to care as much what their dogs are eating as well. So today I'm going to show you how to make homemade no-bake dog treats, so that with really simple ingredients, so that you know what if you make them for your own dog, if any of you have dogs, then you know what they're eating, and you eliminate a lot of the artificial flavors and colors and everything else that is kind of frowned upon in that whole industry. So again, back to the, well, why should I make dog cookies where I can just go buy them? First and foremost, it's cheaper. If you go to the store and buy like a 7-pound box of Milk-Bone dog cookies, that's $7. I bought all of the ingredients for this recipe in less than $7. I know that's $1 more, but you can make multiple batches and it lasts longer, and it allows for more benefits as well that I'll explain in just a moment. Another benefit to making your own dog cookies is that, like I said, you eliminate all the artificial flavors and colors and anything else that can be kind of questionable. If you look on your dog food box at home, you will see things like cornmeal, wheat germ, riboflavin supplement. And I know I don't want to be eating these necessarily if I don't have to, and I'm sure dogs don't really care either. But again, it just goes back to the whole farm to table relationship that we have with our food growers. Another really important benefit that making your own dog treats is, say you have a Saint Bernard and you have a Chihuahua. A Saint Bernard and a Chihuahua are not going to be eating the same size cookie, or at least I hope not, because obviously just for size reasons, a cookie this big is not the same worth to a Chihuahua than it is a Saint Bernard. And another important benefit is you can, also by eliminating all the artificial flavors and colors and any other additives, you can also incorporate beneficial ingredients like ginger, mint, parsley, cinnamon, that all have health benefits to the dog, but it's not with all the other unnecessary ingredients. And last but certainly not least, making your own dog treats are a great way to treat your dog. Ingredients for homemade no-bake dog treats are really simple. I made these last week, and this went in the freezer afterwards. This included 8 tablespoons of peanut butter, a third a cup of water, a half a cup of chicken stock, 1 1/4 cup of oats, and then you can add any sort of obviously non-toxic ingredient to it to make just better flavorings. These have ginger. A lot of, because I made these for my dog at home, and he, for some reason, I guess likes ginger, I don't know. But you can, like I said, add cinnamon, mint, parsley, a number of things, as long as they're not toxic to dogs. Other just materials that you need to make these are really simple. Again, a baking pan. That's more for transport purposes from the table to the freezer. Parchment paper that goes on the baking pan to eliminate sticking as well as eliminating having to do any sort of cleanup afterwards with the pan. And a spoon and a mixing bowl, obviously for mixing purposes. So today we're going to practice making these homemade no-bake dog treats. Again, like I said, the recipe that was behind me before made this size batch. Today you have in front of you peanut butter, which is 2 tablespoons, and the rest you have oats, chicken stock, and water. And that what you have in front of you equates to about 1/4 of what would make this batch. So the first step in making these cookies are to mix the wet ingredients. So if you want to take your peanut butter that you already have in your bowl, and take your chicken broth and your water and dump it in the bowl, and then you can mix that up first. So that makes it a pretty smooth consistency before you add the oats in later. So it just allows for prior mixing, so it makes it easier to mix in the oats. Now, I also said that you can add in any sort of like cinnamon or ginger or mint. I have cinnamon and ginger here with me today if anyone wants to add in just for fun. You can pass those around, feel free. But after you do the chicken stock and the peanut butter and the water, then you can take your oats. And normally I would say add in the oats gradually just to avoid clumping for obvious reasons. But since today we have relatively little amount of ingredients, that doesn't matter too much. So if you just want to take your oats and just sort of dump it in, you can still kind of do it gradually if that helps you with mixing. But it's still pretty simple. And then once you get all of the oats, it might be kind of messy, just try and keep it in the bowl as best you can. Once you get that all mixed up, it should be a fairly thick consistency, and pretty formable. And the next part is making the balls of your cookies. Like I said before, it's making your own dog cookies allows a lot of individualization, and that you can make really small balls or you can make really big balls to allow for whichever dog that you have. So on your parchment paper, you can, what I find best is just take a glob of the, and I have wipes for cleanup purposes later, so don't worry about getting your hands messy. These kind of just form in your hands, and it kind of just sits there. I don't know what mine today are kind of gooier than usual. It might have been the consistency. But if you just sort of take balls and then form them on the parchment paper, then once you have all the balls formed, you transfer them into the freezer, and then they freeze for about 30 minutes, and then you store them in the freezer or the refrigerator, and then ready to eat. You're ready to give to the dogs. So there's really only 1 or 2 steps that really need to remember for making these treats. So then step 3, like I said, there's not really anything to do after this except put it into the freezer. And then, last but not least, give them to your dog. This is my dog. Actually, the batch that I made the last time I made these. As you can see, he's kind of eager to get them and excited. Any questions?
Can you give them to them without putting them in? Or
Yeah, I mean, it's all food, and it's again, like, you could eat it, you could taste it if you want. I don't necessarily recommend it just because it's chicken flavored peanut butter. But dogs seem to really like it, so that's something, I guess. Any other questions? Sorry these didn't turn out exactly the way I thought they were. I think I might have been too much liquid. The recipe I had, I just cut in a quarter exactly, so maybe it wasn't necessarily specifically the consistency it was supposed to come out as. Okay.
So, once you put them in the freezer,
you just maintain in the refrigerator?
You can keep them in the freezer so that they stay harder, or you can put them in the refrigerator and they'll get kind of softer just for whichever purposes you want. A lot of times, like what I'll do for training purposes, like I do a lot of training with my dogs as far as like obedience training and agility. Having just a ball of treat, if it's soft, it's easy to peel off. So instead of giving like a whole big treat for like training purposes, it's better to give like a little piece. And so if I have just a ball of it, then it's easy to just peel off a piece. But of course they have to be in the refrigerator beforehand. Any other questions?
Yeah.
I had a bag or a trash bag, but I'm just
Here,
kind of
you can use one of mine that I
You sure?
have. Yeah, it's fine.
I don't know.
I have white too. Yes, I have that.
And you kept yours in the freezer, right?
Yes.
So this is hard and cold?
Yeah, these are. You can pass this around, if you'd like, but these are pretty. These are just been in the freezer till about 45 minutes ago, and they're still pretty firm. Obviously, the smaller ones will stay frozen longer, just because it's less area that it needs to freeze. The bigger ones get softer a little bit easier, just like it takes a little bit longer for the bigger ones to freeze. It takes less time for the smaller ones to freeze. Yeah.
Does my one have like good like?
I have access to a dog.
I don't have access to it.
Well, I know several dogs.
I've got a dog, but she doesn't need this feature.
Yeah,
It's just like-
just throw them away. 'Cause there's no freezer here anyway, so that kind of
I'm
perfect
gonna
for that.
put them on the bus.
So you want? There's a girl on the bus.
Oh, I don't need it.
So do you want us to just put them in that bag?
actually.
Yeah,
roll that
I
off.
had a bag that I was going to, but thank you.
That's not good.
So,
Like little chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets.
oh, that does not make me like these.
You want to keep them for your dog?
I do. Let me have one.
Baby.
Okay.
Keep it passing around there.
Like,
I didn't touch them.